Banning has become a trending topic of controversy across the country. Some parents argue censorship is necessary to protect kids from graphic books they shouldn't be exposed to. But others argue recent Florida legislation has been crafted in a way that unfairly targets minority works, such as Black history books and literature featuring LGBTQ voices. While Governor Ron DeSantis argues Florida isn't banning books at all, others are using the bills he signed into law to file complaints about a book lawmakers may not have anticipated, the Bible. Tonight, 10 Tampa Bay's Miranda Parnell spoke to one St. Pete pastor whose stance may surprise you.
If you're searching for a big proponent of the Bible, a church is probably a great place to start looking.
Everyone is welcome here and can find sanctuary here.
But even those who know the good book best say there may be some hypocrisy at play when it comes to legislation that's been passed and expanded since the 2022 Parental Rights and Education Bill. Critics of the bill say it has been used to target minority and LGBTQ content.
We've seen unprecedented amount of challenges to books and attempts to ban books by LGBTQ authors, Black and brown authors. And it's essential that our children have these books to read where they can see characters and plot lines and stories that represent who they are.
Movies like a film highlighting Ruby Bridges integrating schools and books like this one centering a same-sex penguin couple have come under scrutiny over the past few years after being flagged for being potentially inappropriate content. But now some Floridians have filed complaints that the Bible is full of inappropriate content.
We've seen people challenge books like the Bible. I mean, by their own criteria, the books that are being banned, the Bible has way more graphic stories in it and is exempt by the state of Florida from being banned. But I think if they're going to ban all those other books, they should ban the Bible.
10 Tampa Bay spoke to one man who says he filed complaints against the Bible in districts across the state. So we reached out to school districts in our area to find out if they even have the Bible in schools. 5 districts said that they do. These 3 never responded to our email to find out, and a spokesperson from Sarasota schools responded to the email but never gave us a yes or no answer. One district said they didn't move forward with the complaint to remove the Bible because of the, quote, fundamental, statutory, and constitutional rights of our students.
This is all performative, and it really has no place in our school system.
Just last week, Governor Ron DeSantis held a press conference addressing criticism over books being pulled for review over the past few years with a slideshow of books that he says anyone would agree are too graphic for public schools.
Featuring nudity, graphic discussion.
And at that press conference, Governor DeSantis directly referenced complaints filed against the Bible.
You've seen people challenge the Bible. You've seen people challenge dictionaries and act like, oh my gosh, in Florida, you had a teacher, I think in Bradenton area, that put paper over all the books. Oh, the state law, we're not allowed that. This is fraudulent.
While books like To Kill a Mockingbird were previously pulled for review following the new education changes, the governor says those books have at some point been recommended reading by the district and claims that the complaints against them are theater.
You have some people that just think some people honestly think a lot of these books are bad, even though they're classics. There's others that are doing it just to try to create a narrative, to try to act like, oh my gosh, these books are under review.
Now, Florida lawmakers say they're working on legislation that would make it costly for people to file book challenges if you don't have kids in the school system.
It would actually start to charge fees, significant fees, on people who don't have kids in a school after 5 frivolous challenges have been found.
Republican Representative Randy Fine says that just because a book isn't made available to students, it doesn't mean the book is banned in schools. He says much of this comes down to shelf space, but when it comes to banning the Bible in schools, he says,
I mean, that's crazy. Look, I can't help it if people are stupid. I would challenge anyone to find any section of the Bible that you could not read openly in a school board meeting. That is the standard that should be used.
While those filing complaints, district leaders, parents, and lawmakers try to decide what stays and what goes, faith leaders are praying for an outcome that's positive for the students caught in the middle.
I think it's time for this foolishness to stop. I think our children and parents are smart enough for themselves to decide what they need to read, to take in all the information to learn, and that's how they grow.
In St. Pete, Miranda Parnell, 10 Tampa Bay.
Again, that new legislation the lawmakers are discussing would charge anyone who doesn't have a child in the school $100 for each failed complaint they file after they've already had 5 previous failed complaints against books.